What do these 7 European nations have in common? Yes, they're all integral parts of the European Union, yet they share another unique characteristic. None of them use the euro as their currency, opting instead to hold on to their own. But here's where it gets interesting. According to the EU treaties, 6 of these countries are obligated to join the Eurozone and adopt the euro, eventually. The only exception here is Denmark, which proudly negotiated its opt-out in 1992. So take Sweden, for example, a core member of the EU for nearly 3 decades, who in theory is supposed to join the euro. Yet they've skillfully sidestepped this commitment without an official opt-out. Meanwhile, Bulgaria, one of the EU's newest members, is ambitiously aiming to join the Eurozone by next year, in 2025. So how likely is this? Will Bulgaria be the 21st Eurozone member? Before we can give you a yes or no, let's crack the code and how a country gets the golden ticket into the Eurozone club. This is all about aspiring members to meet the so-called Convergence Criteria. Think of them as the ultimate checklist of 5 points. First up, we have price stability. A country must have an inflation rate that's not only close, but also not exceeding 1.5% above the rate of the 3 best performing EU countries in terms of price stability. This criteria ensures that inflation is under control and not likely to cause economic turmoil upon joining the Eurozone. Now let's take a peek at Bulgaria. Are they hitting the mark on this one? Unfortunately, not at the moment. They're actually trailing quite a bit behind, as demonstrated by this table. When we look at the top performers, such as Belgium, Italy, and Latvia, and consider the allowable 1.5% addition to their inflation rates, Bulgaria's rate clocks in at more than double this adjusted benchmark. Therefore, Bulgaria has got some way to go to meet this metric, and does not meet this requirement today. Next, there's the government public debt and budget deficit. Countries must keep their debt below 60% of GDP, and their budget deficit can't surpass 3% of GDP. These rules ensure sustainable finances and controlled spending before joining the Eurozone. On this front, however, Bulgaria is performing impressively well, boasting a debt to GDP ratio of just 22% and a budget deficit of only 2.2% in 2023. This requirement raises an interesting point, as several existing Eurozone members, including Italy and France with their debt levels surpassing 100%, don't adhere to it. With the Eurozone's average debt standing at a almighty 90.3%, significantly exceeding the 60% guideline. Anyway, back to Bulgaria, who unlike many current Eurozone members, has their public finances under control. The third criterion is stable exchange rates. This means applicant countries cannot devalue their currency against the euro. To demonstrate this, a country must participate in something called the exchange rate mechanism for at least 2 years. Bulgaria's currency, the Bulgarian lev, has been part of the exchange rate mechanism for almost 4 years, with the exchange rate consistently hovering around 0.51 euros per Bulgarian lev. Actually, the Bulgarian lev was pegged to the German Deutschmark in 1997, and then the euro since 1999. So on this front, Bulgaria has passed with flying colors. The fourth criterion is long-term interest rates. The average long-term interest rate must not be more than 2 percentage points higher than in the 3 EU countries with the lowest inflation. This ensures that a country can borrow money at a stable and reasonable rate. So does Bulgaria meet this requirement? This assessment involves a bit of a complex calculation, so let's do this step by step. First, let's take another look at the inflation rates across Europe. As we've seen before, Belgium, Italy, and Latvia have the lowest inflation rates. Second, let's take these 3 countries and find their corresponding long-term interest rates. Third, let's take a look at Bulgaria's long-term interest rate. And as you can see, Bulgaria is positioned at the higher end, with a rate of 3.9%. And fourth, let's add the 2 percentage points of leeway to Belgium, Italy, and Latvia. By comparing the rates from Bulgaria to the other 3 countries, we find that Bulgaria's interest rate is indeed lower than this adjusted threshold. Therefore, Bulgaria satisfies this criterion, showcasing its economic alignment with Eurozone standards. The last step to joining the Eurozone is legal convergence, ensuring a country's laws, particularly those concerning its central bank, align with the EU and ECB standards. This means that the national central bank must be fully independent, focus on price stability, and avoid directly financing the government. Bulgaria has been actively working to meet this criterion, implementing legal reforms to align its monetary policy and central bank operations with Eurozone requirements. Bulgaria is now waiting for the European Central Bank to approve their reforms, hopefully by June this year. So, regarding the convergence criteria, Bulgaria is showing promising signs. The sole stumbling block at present is the inflation criterion. However, the convergence criteria alone don't tell the full story of joining the Eurozone. Bulgarian political support and public opinion are equally important. The previous ruling coalition has clearly prioritized Schengen and Eurozone accession, having secured access to air and sea Schengen zones already. The previous Prime Minister, Nikolai Denkov, recently highlighted Bulgaria's target for Euro adoption by January the 1st next year, with a potential postponement to July the 1st in 2025 if the inflation criterion is not met in time. But the political situation in Bulgaria is far from stable, with the country holding 5 parliamentary elections since 2021, with a 6th one heading our way in June. Also, one of the parties in opposition, the Nationalist Revival Party, initiated a campaign to collect signatures for a referendum aimed at postponing Euro adoption until 2043. But despite these efforts, the parliament dismissed the proposal for the referendum, and the Constitutional Court subsequently ruled the referendum as unconstitutional. Nonetheless, with the government coalition falling apart and new elections on the horizon, Bulgaria's prospects for joining the Eurozone in the near term could be significantly diminished. Public opinion might also present a big challenge. Surveys show that the nation is split down the middle, with 49% in favor of adopting the euro, 50% opposed, and 1% undecided. While not mandatory, countries like Sweden and Denmark have used referendums to test public sentiment on adopting the euro. Should Bulgaria opt for a referendum, the outcome could swing in either direction. Now let's imagine that Bulgaria gets their inflation under control, with a stable pro-euro government and widespread public support. What happens next? Well, once all the criteria are met, the European Central Bank and the European Commission will submit a formal endorsement request to the Eurogroup ministers. Following this, they seek formal approval from both the European Parliament and the Council of the European Union. The Council is responsible for making several key decisions, including setting the exchange rates and determining the dates for the currency switchover. Concurrently, the Bulgarian government must enact legislation to officially recognize the euro as its legal tender. Then, the final challenge in Bulgaria's quest for Eurozone membership is the requirement of unanimous approval from all current member states. Given the complications encountered with Bulgaria's Schengen area accession, where several countries have persistently blocked its entry, securing unanimous consent for joining the Eurozone could be a challenge. So, now to the big question. Will Bulgaria join next year? Here's what we think. Possibly. We think the odds are at around 33%. There are just so many hurdles where it could go wrong. We think meeting the convergence criteria is actually the easiest step. Harder might be the uncertain political landscape, or the absence of overwhelming public support. And then of course there's the hurdle of unanimous EU approval. In June we will know more, as the ECB will release its new convergence report, where Bulgaria might finally meet all the criteria. The report also evaluates to what extent the other non-Euro EU countries are meeting the requirements, and I will definitely make a video on this, so subscribe to the channel if you want to stay up to date. Thank you so much for watching everyone, and a big shout out to our contributors. Let us know in the comments if you think Bulgaria will join the Eurozone next year, and please like this video if you enjoyed it. And if you would like to support the channel further, please consider joining us on Patreon. Until next time.